Good afternoon and welcome. Calling the August 7th meeting of the San Diego County Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board to order. If everybody would please make sure that they silence their phones. Madam Secretary, would you call roll of the board members present? She's going to be absent. Present.
Federico Mondrian. Present.
Present.
May the record reflect that we have a quorum. And we have no request to participate remotely or emergency request. So at this point in time, it's an opportunity for public comment. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. It needs to be on something that is not on tonight's agenda, and it needs to be something that's within the jurisdiction of CLERB as it presently sits. Can we go ahead and kick off our public comment? And we'll start off with live, we'll do virtual and then written.
Thank you, Vice Chair. First, we will call David Towles.
And the cities. He wrote this when he was at UC. A beauty of the Sierra Madre Range I saw during the summer of '89. It was a holy place. Water tasted better than the finest wine. Sight, sound, smells of the bright forests and peaks is what Lyle, Darwin, Ritter, and Sill were a few that I surmounted. We're going to take just a second to do a little an audio check on the microphone. Good.
Thank you. Next, we will call Ilka.
Hello, my name is Ilka Weston. I am with North County Equity and Justice Coalition, as well as TAP and multiple others. On August 1st, the sheriff's deputies got a phone call. There was moaning coming from a ditch. The sheriff's deputy showed up, did not get out of the car, got back in his car, said there was nothing to see. On Friday, again, there came another phone call. There's another moaning. There's a moaning. What's going on? They show up. They pull Irma Espinoza out of a ditch, covered in ants, with her pants removed. Why didn't the sheriff's deputy get out of his car and look? She could be alive. They brought her into the hospital half alive. She died on August 3rd. I've spoken detail with Irma's sister, Irma's father of her children, and all of them are just shocked. Irma was a lovely woman. She participated in her community. She didn't commit any crimes. She just got released a few weeks prior from the hospital. She was trying to live her life. She is survived by family that love her and want answers. She is survived by 3 children, an 11-year-old that will always remember who her mother is. In addition, there is Adrian at 19, her son, and Raquel at 22, her daughter. They are currently working on the complaint, and I believe Adrian has called in. He may or may not talk. This is not what we need. This is not what should be happening. This is horrific, and we need to keep this sheriff out of office and take her out immediately. This is not the way they need to behave when they're out in the field.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Your
you.
time is up. Next, I will call Sabrina Woodall. Well, I need to. Okay, was it their time to you? All right, next we will call Brenda.
I'm Brenda Settles. On August 16th, 2022, I lost my son, Matthew Settles, while he was in isolation at George Bailey Detention Center. He was mentally ill for decades, with many years of stabilization and times that he was not stabilized. He needed so much care, but when his medicine got off and he went to jail, instead, he sustained severe head injuries and documented horrific self-harm instances. Despite all the studies to show that ADSEC is deadly for someone with his condition, he was transferred without his case manager or conservator being notified to ADSEC at George Bailey's. How inhumane. How could this happen with all the evidence that had been presented years before in studies and continued deaths due to this? The jails did not change. And this is why it's essential to have this class action suit go forward to finally force the Sheriff's Department to give better mental health care to those loved ones who are in custody. Just recently, the county paid out a $4 million settlement to a mentally ill man who committed suicide in ADSEC when it was known that he was self-harming. I guess when the burden's on the taxpayers, the sheriff doesn't feel like they have to make the changes that are necessary. Almost 3 years now, I will never be able to hug Matthew again, have him be able to be part of our family times, hear his jokes, go on vacation with him, have him play games with his nieces and nephews. He loved the outdoors so much, I will always picture him in my mind, climbing to the top of a peak. Matthew was loved, he's missed, and he'll always be remembered. But I hate to think of the reality of him alone in his cell, calling for help and thinking that no one cared.
Thank you. Next, we will call Yusuf Miller.
Good evening, I'm Yusuf Miller, the Executive Director of the North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And as you can see, with us today are many families who have been impacted by in-custody deaths, both veterans who have been fighting with us since 2020 and those who are brand new added to our family this year. This year, we've had several in-custody deaths, and we may count it as only 7, but there is no only when it comes to in custody deaths. They belong to someone's family. They were loved. They were cherished. And if we keep on at this pace, at 7 in custody deaths, we just went into the 8th month. If we continue on this track, it seems that we're headed toward 12 for this year if we continue at the pace we are. And last year was only 9, quote unquote, only. The year before that, it was 13. We're going in the wrong direction. So we need to make positive and informed, compassionate change. And one of those changes will be to help hold law enforcement accountable. And the way we can do that is by transparency. One of the requests that we have for you today, matter of fact, one of the demands that we have for you today is that you have the sheriff's department not destroy audio and visual evidence in the cases of people in custody death. Whether it's the call button, we have so many families behind us whose families use the call button. We don't have the call button data. That data will give us clarity. That data will make us understand what happened to the loved one. And even if it's nothing, even if it's something that was no one's fault, at least we know that. So the families would be more at comfort and more at ease to know everything that happened to their families. But it seems like we're not at that full capacity yet to have full transparency, and that's why we're here every month since 2020. We're here every month since 2020 to be your conscience, to say that you have to do this. This is something that the community is demanding, something that the community is asking for, and you're going to hear from new families and new voices today. Do I have 2 more minutes? Oh, so
Vice Chair,
Who's given Yusef 2 more minutes?
Vice Chair Taylor Jones is giving additional 2 minutes to Yusuf, if you allow that.
Very well, granted.
so how many is that total?
It's additional 2 minutes.
Okay, 2. Okay, so of the families of Saving Lives in Custody, Elisa Cerna, Vinaya Graneo, Callan Lines, Linda Bagbay, Matthew Settles, Mr. Rupert, Gilbert Gill, Saxon Rodriguez, Raymond Vogelman, Pedro Jr., Michael Wilson, Omar Moreno Arroyo, Abdul Kamara, Corey Michael Dean, Mr. Talib, the last and latest of the in custody deaths here in San Diego, and many more who just couldn't be here. And I didn't think I had enough time to write them all down, so I didn't. But there are many people who are listening online that are part of our families that have not spoken up yet because it's so painful. There was a family member today who, as we had our press conference, I encouraged to speak and to share the situation that they're going through, and they just could not. And this is what we're experiencing in many of our families. That's why we have to stand and be the vanguard for that. And for us to be the vanguard, we need to trust in you. We need you to take the leadership and to challenge when you're pushed back against law enforcement, against the sheriff's department, that we can't do this or we won't do this. Be innovative, be stern to say that there is a way that we can do this. There is a way that we can support this. And with that model, for example, the model in LA, the model where their version of the CLERB stands up to and or sues law enforcement to make sure they follow the will of the CLERB, which is following the will of the Board of Supervisors, which in turn are following the will of the community. And we are the community. We are the impacted community. We're a tribe of the impacted. We are the tribe of people who have lost loved ones. So we stand here as one family, an unfortunate family. We don't want to have to know each other this way, but unfortunately we do. And we stand together in solidarity. And as these new families are here, we're here to navigate them as they work through this system with veteran families and new families as they come. And we hope that Mr. Talib is the last one of the year.
Thank you. Next, we have Sabrina Waddell, and I have a note here from Richard who's ceding the time to Sabrina. So that will tally to 4 minutes if you allow that.
You have 4 minutes, Sabrina.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Sabrina Weddle. I am Saxon Rodriguez's older sister. Saxon died at 22 years old. He died at San Diego Central Jail at the hands of Brian Powell, Andrew Randovich, Maxwell Rimple, Andre Ranzer, Melissa Burns, Reggie Barreto, Carrie Cavello, Ria Encarnacion, Caitlin Hendricks, Marlene Abanzi, Kelly Payne, Levy Santos, and Chantel Williams. But most of you know this, though. What you do not know is today is Saxon and I's little brother's 22nd birthday. And in 19 days, he will officially be older than Saxon. I missed Saxon's 22nd birthday due to me being too tired. And here I am missing Seth's birthday because Saxon's dead. August 7th was the first available day to have Saxon's funeral, Seth's 18th birthday. Fuck the San Diego sheriffs for not doing their sworn duty. Because time and time again, I have to sit here and plead the same case over and over again, that the San Diego sheriffs will never be held accountable. We will never get transparency. And especially because CLERB wants to pull out of AB 47. Where's Pintar? July's meeting was canceled. July was Saxon's 4-year anniversary. Of course you guys canceled it. And 3 new deaths? Pintar, hello, where are you? I don't know, Jim.
Chair Pintar is not here this evening. Please proceed.
That is
with
noted.
your Comments.
That is noted. Please do not take up my time. 3 new in custody deaths, all similar: fentanyl, methamphetamine. Who is the drug dealer? Why won't Kelly Martinez scan her deputies? Today I wear a shirt with Pedro Jr. on it. He holds 2 kites, the kites that he put into requests for help before he committed suicide. In the same jail that Saxon died in. Saxon was in 4B. Pedro was in 4A. All of these people have asked for help. Elisa Serna asked for help. Hayden Shuck asked for help. And you know what the San Diego sheriffs did? Turned around and deleted that footage. Why? Because they don't know how to do their job. Probation also had a death. Why haven't they announced it? Also, fentanyl. Who is the drug dealers? All of these people that have died all have one common factor: that they were in the hands of the San Diego Sheriff's Department. You, and you are all paying because of these deaths. Not them, not their 6 figures, not their multi-billion-dollar budget, you guys. And unless you don't live in the San Diego County, then why are you here? Everybody in this room is paying into these deaths. And we're sitting here talking about what? Because CLERB doesn't support AB 847. What did we put out the statement for? To look good for press? Did we cancel last month's meeting because you guys didn't want to deal with this? We're going to continue to come. Even on my brother's 22nd birthday, I'm here. And in 19 days again, Seth will be older than Saxon because the San Diego sheriffs failed to do what they'd sworn to do. 5 minutes and 28 seconds cost my brother his life. And that was according to the medical examiner, not just something I shaded out of my ass. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Paloma Serna, and I have Diala, who ceded her time to Paloma, so that tallied to 4 minutes, if Vice Chair allowed that.
You have 4 minutes.
My name is Paloma Serna. I'm the mother of Elisa Serna, who died in custody in Las Colinas. I am from Saving Lives in Custody, California, and North County Equity and Justice Coalition. We are demanding CLERB to take immediate action to stop the Sheriff's Department from destroying critical evidence. Over 57 hours of footage was deleted purposely in Hayden Shuck's case. Video that showed the hallway outside his cell. That footage could have answered whether safety checks were done or whether medical staff responded, but it was gone, destroyed. And here's the question I want the answer actually right now. When CLERB shows up to a death scene, do you ask for video? Do you walk the jail, look up? And do you see how many cameras there are? Do you document those cameras and request those footage from all of them? Or do you just sit back and take whatever the Sheriff's Department decides to give you? Because CLERB is not demanding every angle of video, every hallway, every cell, every intercom call, then you are not conducting an independent investigation. You're enabling a cover-up. Families like mine are left with nothing but redacted autopsy report, denied public record requests, and erase videos now. And then you blame, and they blame they blame the families for not properly requesting footage. That's a rigged game, and CLERB is part of it unless you intervene. So let me be clear. This is happening over and over. 5.5 years later, after Lisa died, we have 5 other deaths in the Las Colinas jail. Where's the change? Kelly Martinez stated that Elisa deserved better. Really? Why was Viviana Granero? She died almost exactly like Elisa Serna, but there was 2 differences. She was not placed in a cell with cameras, and Viviana was actually alive when they found her, but they walked away and let her die. They did not even do CPR at all to help her. This board says it exists to bring transparency and oversight. Then do your job. Demand the evidence. Where's the backbone? Preserve the truth and stop being an other arm of a system that protects itself while people die. Pedro Jr. Nellis, their family, was here for the press conference. And I don't even know if they're even here. I mean, it's hard for them. So we wore their shirts so you guys can remember that they are not forgotten because they're not standing behind this podium. They demand answers. There's a proof. Letters. Pedro was asking for help. Where was the help? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Deanna Sanchez.
Hello, my name is Diana Sanchez. I'm the mother of Yana Granillo, who died in custody on July 13th, 2022. She was my daughter, not a number, not a statistic, a human being with dreams, love, and a future. Since her death, more women have died in the same facility. First, Elisa Serna, and my daughter, Diana Granillo, Callan Lyons, Linda Bagby have died. Their lives mattered. Their deaths demand answers. Addict lives matter. Our loved ones deserve care, dignity, and a chance to recover, not to die behind bars. Deputies must be held accountable. No badge should ever be a shield from the truth. We are here because nothing changes if nothing changes. We are here for accountability. We are here for transparency. We are here for justice. For Viana, for Elisa, for Linda, for Callan. These women's lives matter. Their deaths are not isolated. They are part of a pattern that demands change. We deserve answers, we deserve reform, and we deserve to know our loved ones are safe. Since my daughter's death, I've grieved. I grieve every day for her. And just because they're addicts doesn't mean they deserve that sentence. Okay, they're addicts. They're just nobody. Just leave them to be there and just to die. No, you know what? I'm an addict and I'm recovering, and I will be somebody. I'm gonna become somebody. I am, and I'm gonna get back out there. We recover. We do recover, and they deserved a chance. And the deputies think that, and you know what? You think that we're not going to come back and make a comeback? I'm making a comeback, and they deserved a chance. They did. They deserved a chance. You guys should treat them better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call David Rico.
My name is David Rico, and I'm from the Chicano Mexicano community, and I want to say that it sounds to me like you guys got your hands full on doing your job, and I just want to say I would like to bring up a case that happened in 2023. Christopher De Arman was shot and killed by the San Diego Police Department, and the sheriff's department are the ones that did the investigation. They did because supposed transparency, agencies can't do investigations on other agents, the same agency, I mean, which would mean San Diego Police Department can't do an investigation on themselves. So they tasked the Sheriff's Department to do this investigation. This investigation was a bunch of things that were, I'd like to say, BS. You know what BS means, because things were not transparent. They were doing interviews with the other officers that were the shooters, and these officers were coaching the deputy sheriffs were coaching, or detective sheriffs, I don't know what you guys call them, but whatever they were doing in these interviews, they were coaching the answers to the San Diego Police Department. They were saying things like, so you were calm and collective, correct? And the officer was like, what? And he said, yeah, you were calm and collective, correct? And that's just one example. I just wanted to bring this up because I'm going to continue to come back and bring these things up, because I would like to ask that you guys look at this case and see how the sheriffs were doing this investigation. There's all kinds of things that they were doing that were wrong. They were investigating people, family members, asking them questions to see if they could incriminate Christopher, and not telling them, is my time up? All right. Well, I'm going to come back, and this will be continued. And I'd like to say justice for Elisa Serna, and justice for the other family members that were killed while in custody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we will call Chuck Rodriguez.
Jock Rodriguez, has Lieutenant Jajara been able to give you a briefing on the status with my case? Committee, by any chance? No? Okay. Well, the accusation that I have for Sheriff Gore is going around signing false signatures for my case, not answering for charges. The most highest charges: murder, manslaughter, bribes, election fraud. How much do these people need to say that justice needs to come? Recommendations? You guys should be filing charges. False signatures for my certifieds from the damn sheriff. 4 years. And you guys don't know about that. Certified. You guys don't even have it in your possession. How the fuck is that possible? This is goddamn murder. It's ridiculous. We have to come up here trying to find out and finding out videos being destroyed. That's on my watch with the Sheriff's Department. Kelly Martinez and Heidi Williams are subject to charges right now. I want my citizens' arrest for Sheriff Gore, Chief Kennedy, of Chula Vista Police Department. Enough of the bullshit. I want someone to call me tomorrow. Who's going to assist me with my citizens' arrest? To USC 18, subsection 242, a required investigation by the FBI. Thank you. That false charge.
Thank you. Next, we will call Donna Elson. Donna? Next, we will call David D. Arman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dave DeArmond. I'm a retired Lieutenant Commander, 30-year naval veteran, Mustang E1 to 04, former Naval Base San Diego security officer, and FLETC graduate, where the federal bureaus go to receive their training. The morning of Saturday, 21 January 2023, approximately 08:54 hours, my daughter called me, said my son had been murdered by San Diego police. I arrived at the scene. Detective Moser of the Sheriff Department, badge 0034, approached me in plainclothes after introducing himself as a detective, interrogated me, told me my son was extracted from my truck with a police canine, which I later found to be false. He also said that my son died after firing rounds at the police officers. That may or may not be true. They did murder my son, firing over 28 rounds, including the use of hollow point rounds, which is not authorized by San Diego Police Department. Moser went on to tell me, questioning me, and when I asked him, why didn't you contact me as family? We don't do that. The report lists that the officers probably did not know a phone number to call. That's rather ironic considering they examined my son's cell phone, including all of the contacts listed there, and I would have been one of them. The cover-up is immense. We cannot have blue on blue conducting investigations and truly have unbiased outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Patricia DeArmond.
Hello, everybody. This is my first time here. My name is Patricia DeArmond. Christopher DeArmond was my only sibling. As you may know, he was killed by San Diego police. San Diego sheriffs did a huge injustice to my family. My brother was shot excessively, some of which included non-department issued hollow point ammunition. 11 minutes after being shot at 28 times, he was bit and dragged by a canine and left to bleed out. The investigation was incomplete, non-transparent, and totally unacceptable. The cops were questioned hours after the incident occurred, with attorneys present in the room and being coached while answering. This is unacceptable. The police officers have not been held accountable, and my family deserves better than this. My brother was a human being. He had people that loved him, and he was a beautiful person, believe it or not. Please help us. Help us go after the sheriffs to hold them accountable. Nobody deserves to die the way my brother did. His rights were violated. He was shot excessively, and no officers were found of any wrongdoing from any department. We were questioned with hidden microphones and not told the status of his life before the interviews were conducted. My even 8-year-old daughter was questioned, and we were listed as witnesses. They didn't try very hard to find their own witnesses, as there's one witness that I have community footage of who's homeless, and her tent was moved on camera by law enforcement. And her statement and name is nowhere in the report. They didn't try hard to do a thorough investigation, and these interviews were voluntarily conducted. Unacceptable.
Thank you. Next, we will call John Settles.
Hi there. I'm John Settles, the brother of Matthew Settles, who died in custody 3 years ago, very near today, August 16th, 2022. I'm here in solidarity with North County Equity and Justice Coalition and Saving Lives in Custody. and everyone who's lost a loved one to the, to the actions of the San Diego sheriffs. I feel that there's a lot of problems here. Real quick, I'll go through what I've experienced is that my brother was taken from life-saving care. He was in the mental hospital getting care that he needed. He was pulled out of there, pulled into the San Diego Central Jail, where he was put into general population. He was under a court-ordered conservatorship, and the sheriffs either didn't know or ignored that. And basically allowed him to refuse medication, which created a situation in which he was beat over the head. We still don't know. We don't have the reports. My brother died 3 years ago. We don't exactly know how he got 57 stitches or something in surgery. There's a problem here. And the next problem is that this board issued a report that said all those actions were sustained. My brother was mentally ill and put in George Bailey, where there's no psych unit, and in aggregated administrative segregation, where the reports have been issued that should not have occurred. This board has essentially rubber stamped the bad actions of the sheriffs. And I think everyone here knows that there's a problem if that's the case. We need you to strongly advocate for us, because it says Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board in your title. And I don't feel that we were represented. And now that you have further jurisdiction and the ability, I really hope that you all take this seriously and you push harder and you advocate more, because at this point, I don't feel justice was served or even recognized. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Grace John.
Hi, my name is Grace John. I'm a civil rights attorney here in San Diego. I am looking at the Memorandum of Understanding between the San Diego County Sheriff's Office and the San Diego County Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board regarding access to death scenes. This is something that CLERB can do that no impacted family member can do here. You've heard from the family of Matthew Settles. I represent them. Matthew died in August of 2022. 3 years later, we don't have a single piece of video related to Matthew's death, even though we've been in litigation. That is a slow process. But here's where CLERB could actually take immediate action, intervene, and ensure that video is not lost or erased. CLERB investigators under this MOU have the authority to actually go into the scene of a death in custody, right? They can go into the jails. They have the ability and authority to do so. They can go and determine where the death occurred, where the relevant video cameras are, and they can request that that footage is saved and preserved so that a thorough and transparent investigation can be done. Our family members don't have the ability to do any of that. They don't even know where their loved ones died in custody. They have no idea who was involved, what happened, where it happened. And so they are asking CLERB to intervene and take immediate steps to ensure that video evidence is preserved, because CLERB is the only one who can get there and to work on behalf of the impacted family members. Finally, I just want to mention that Linda Bagby, Callan Lines, and Corey Dean are all 3 deaths that happened May, June, July of this year. The families of those deceased individuals are here and present. You'll be hearing from them shortly, but sadly, their deaths are eerily similar to the deaths of Viana Granillo, Matthew Settles, and others before them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Sandy Waddell.
Sunday Weddle here. I represent Saving Lives in Custody, California, North County Equity and Justice Coalition. I am the mother of Saxon Rodriguez. My son Saxon died 4 years ago, this past July, in Central Jail. Saxon died of a drug overdose. Many died before him and after him. Central Jail is still one of the highest number of overdoses, drug overdoses, suspected overdoses, and Narcan deploys. I'm here this evening because I am supporting the family of Pedro Jr.,
Ornelas, who died 2 years ago, also in Central Jail where Saxon died. I believe Pedro died of medical neglect. I'm asking CLERB to take another look at the case of Pedro. Reading the CLERB summary, it doesn't say anything about the kites that he submitted for help. And his mom had these shirts made. I want to make sure that everyone can see it. These are the kites that he sent. He sent these because he needed medication. He needed mental health. Pedro. And it's really important because I think that some of the facts in the case are missing. I don't think that CLERB has all the information, and I would like to ask you guys to take another look at Pedro's case. It's really important, and I heard through the grapevine that you are talking about oversight of the medical this evening, and it's really important that they are investigated. A lot of deaths are due to medical neglect. And even as far back as 2014, Ronnie Sandoval, who was left in a cell for many hours, and deputies thought medical was in charge of him, medical thought deputies was in charge of him, and he ended up dying. And I just want you guys to know, like, this is too long. Someone has to be in charge of interviewing and holding medical staff accountable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justice for Saxon Rodriguez.
Thank you. Next, we will call Darian Gulu.
Hi, I have to unfortunately bring to your attention a disturbing situation. I have filed a CLERB's complaint attaching 12 internal affairs complaints that have been ignored by the Sheriff's Department. The CLERB's probably didn't even read them because the review contains only 6 events. The total of events that we have been subjected to are over 100. And these 6 events are not even reflecting the truth. I'm sure the body cameras of the deputies who are corrupt and support the criminals next door will show the truth. So, oops, I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm sure I'm heard now. Okay, so only 6 events were part of the hearing notice. 2 of them were 911 calls that I have made to stop the drug dealers, criminals, Askandar, living next door to encroach on my property. To my despair, Deputy Duran threatened me that he will arrest me if I remove their items from my property. The body cam will show without any doubt that happened. In the CLERB's notes, his conduct was lawful, justified, and proper. We are a family of professionals. We never did anything wrong in our life. I am a software engineer. My wife is a medical doctor for the Navy, and we are under threat, constant harassment from these criminals next door who do whatever is possible to get us out of our own house, our own property. And that's because they want to expand their drug dealings on our area, and we don't want to move. Little we know that they have a group of corrupt officers in El Cajon that support them and help them.
Mr. Gulu, I'm sorry, but your time is up.
May I ask for an extension, please?
I'm sorry, sir, but your time's up. We have quite a few speakers here tonight, and we're on a schedule.
Okay. It's a shame what's going on. That's what I want. Okay.
Thank you. Next, we will call Patricia Henry.
Hello, my name is Patrice Henry, and I saw my son on July 21st be brutally beaten by the Lemon Grove Sheriff Department. They first shot him with the rubber bullets to bring him down. While on the ground, they continued to shoot him. They beat him so bad that his face was a bloody mess while handcuffed, and I'm asking them, stop hitting him, stop hitting him. And one officer is on him, and he tells him, I can't breathe. I said, he has asthma, he can't breathe, get off of him. And he puts the hoodie on his face that my son had on. I said, if he can't breathe, why are you putting a hoodie on his face? Get the hoodie off of him. And then it got to the point where my son started to black out. And they had to stop and take his pulse to make sure he was breathing. And after that, they turned him over. His face was a bloody mess. They put a spit mask on him, the spit mask, bloody mess. They sit him up, and they're trying to get him to talk. He's incoherent. And they said, before he had asked them, is this a 5150? Where's the PERT team? And they said, you're not getting a PERT team, you're going to jail. He said, make sure you have your body cams on. And then when they set him up after they brutally beat him, his eye is busted, his lips busted and everything. They sent him up, he's incoherent, and they're asking him, hold your head up. And he said, he didn't say anything. And then they're saying they're gonna take him to jail. I said, no, you're gonna get him a paramedic. And so by that time, the firemen are there, and the firemen called the paramedics. Paramedics came, and they put him in, took him to the hospital. He was in ICU when I called to check on him for 2.5 days from that brutal beating. After that beating, they kept telling me, get out of the driveway, get out of the driveway of my driveway. I told them I'm not going anywhere. And it is my true belief, if I had left that driveway, my child would be dead today. And so he was in ICU for 2.5 days. They took him from ICU to the county jail, where he had to use a walker to walk. So yeah, I want to file a complaint against the Lemon Grove Sheriff Department. Something has to be done.
Thank you.
If I might just interject for a second, we are very sincere in wanting to hear your comments. However, two areas. One is I have to remind you that during this public comment, it's only for things that are not on the agenda this evening, and we have had some reference to agenda items, and we have a lot of people that still want to speak. And the other thing is I encourage you all to make sure that you're talking about things that are within the jurisdiction of what CLERB's jurisdiction is. And I would refer you to our website if you have any questions on what the jurisdiction is. We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk. We only allot 45 minutes because we have a busy evening, but we don't want to cut anybody out. We just need to make sure that you're not talking about things we're talking about on our agenda tonight or things that we don't have jurisdiction over. Go ahead and proceed with calling the rest, Norris.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next, we will call Danielle.
Good evening. My name is Daniel McCarthy. I'm here with my son-in-law, Rick, his sister, Nicole, and my daughter, Taylor. This is my daughter, Callan Lyons. She was 31 years old. She was funny. She was smart. She was beautiful. She also had a drug addiction. On Mother's Day, she was arrested and taken to Las Colinas. She died at Las Colinas the following evening. We have been trying, when something like this happens, you want to immediately blame somebody. You want to find a fault somewhere along the line. But in a dark room, you don't know where to point. We have bits and pieces of information of what happened to those hours that she was at Las Colinas, but by far we don't have clarity. That's what I'm here and what our family is here asking you, is to look at and give us some clarity, find out what happened. Obviously, meeting these people tonight for the first time, this has happened before. I thank you for your time. I really don't have anything else to say, except please look into it and give us this clarity that we so desperately need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will call Suk.
Hi, my name is Sukhbir Gill. Just want to acknowledge that we're sitting on occupied indigenous land. Law enforcement, investigating law enforcement will never be unbiased. Law enforcement bringing in drugs is not a far-fetched idea. LA County just got convicted sheriffs for bringing in drugs through Pringle cans. Riverside County sheriffs had transport bringing in drugs. So asking the sheriffs to be swept and checked for drugs is not a far-fetched idea, and just justice for all stolen lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Ray Herman. Ms. Ray Herman.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Rearman. I'm an attorney with Iredell and You, and we represent victims and impacted family members, those who died in custody. We represent, among others, Frankie Greer and Omar Moreno Arroyo and his wife, Tammy Wilson. In both of those cases, the Sheriff's Department either deleted or failed to preserve critical video evidence, which would have shown the deputy's conduct at crucial points. We're asking for you to do something about it. Preserve evidence, help the family members get answers that they so desperately want, because this is taking years for them, and to find out that they may not even get the answers because the Sheriff's Department is deleting critical evidence is not okay. So we urge you to take action and do something. Thank you.
Vice Chair Mendelson, that concludes our request to speak for the in-person. If you allow me, I can start to call the people online.
Please proceed with that.
Thank you. First, we will call Tom Packard. Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. I just got the unmute. And Tom Packard was showing up for Racial Justice North County. The recent grand jury report on reducing jail deaths offered excellent recommendations regarding the use of performance indicators and continuous quality improvement. Before my career at SDSU, I was an organization development consultant with the city of San Diego, where we facilitated the successful use of organizational improvement processes, now known generally as CQI. I think a good, well-supported CQI process in the jails could help a lot to decrease preventable jail deaths and mistreatment of incarcerated persons. A 2017 report about the San Diego jails by the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare mentioned CQI, and a progress report from the sheriff dated October 2019 said they had a quality improvement committee, but I haven't found any other evidence of past or current CQI efforts in the jails. A recent report submitted as part of a lawsuit noted that many recommendations in the NCCHC report still need attention. I hope you have the authority to have sheriff staff give regular reports at your meetings, starting with information on current CQI activities and steps planned to implement the grand jury recommendations, and then regular reports on accomplishments using the detailed data dashboards recommended in the report. I found in my research on organizational change that top management support and commitment is a key success factor. Having the sheriff attend one of your meetings to show her support for CQI would offer a powerful message to you, her staff, and the community about her commitment to this. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Next, we will call Deidre McLeod.
My name is Deirdre McLeod, and I am a constituent of Supervisor Joel Anderson, District 2. My pronouns are she, her. I've been attending CLERB meetings for 2.5 years. I've seen your efforts to hold to account the Sheriff's Office as a whole squashed by questionable legal theory. I've seen your attempts to advocate for change reversed because of policy, and seen your ability to consider relevant information dismissed because the proper procedures weren't followed. And I've seen your investigation stalled because you lack jurisdiction. So many rules and regulations, all put in place to constrain taking any action while people keep dying in our jails. I also read the UT article about the last days of Michael Dean and the CBS 8 report on the last days of Kareem Talib. Fellow inmates detailing the horrific abuse and neglect they saw both men suffer before their needless deaths. Given that we're at the point in this ongoing tragedy that incarcerated people themselves are willing to speak out publicly despite fear of retaliation, you cannot and must not accept the constraints that the system keeps putting in your way. Every month I listen to people give their 2-minute speeches, hoping somehow that the right combination of words will make a difference. There isn't a turn of phrase or a single idea that's going to solve it all, but everyone keeps trying. Tonight, my ask is that you keep trying too. Don't let the legal, procedural, and jurisdictional setbacks keep you from acting with courage and conviction. Because there's probably a person suffering unspeakably and unjustifiably in a San Diego jail cell right now. A person that you can keep from becoming the next headline.
Thank you. Next, we will call Leslie Crawford.
I'm the mother of Raymond Vogelman, and I would like to give my 2 minutes to Yusuf Miller, please.
That'll be granted.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Yusuf Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And I can't help but reminisce over the years that we've been here, coming here. And every story now sounds the same. Every family from Pedro Jr. to Callan Lines to all the people that you hear today, and it's all seems to be transparency, 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 and issues of neglect or loss of information so that we can't make a proper and full determination on what happened. And this is a reoccurring issue, and it's a steady issue that we've been seeing since 2020. Some of you have been here since then, and some of you have not. And it is something that if you could listen and activate on the words from the families that show up today, I think we would be in a better relationship. There was a time when the CLERB and the community had first a rocky relationship, then a smooth relationship to all the advancements and movements that we made towards positive reform, and then it became rocky again. What we want to see is back when we can have a more smooth relationship by seeing something positive come out of this board. We have on our agenda coming up talking about 847. Hopefully the community will be able to comment on that. I put in a speaker slip on that, but what a disappointing part of the agenda. So I can't wait to get to that. So hopefully I can share my concerns, and hopefully you can give us some clarity. But my whole point to this talk is that we need to be back lockstep in making improvements in here for the families, and we'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we will call Lisa. Lisa?
Oh, hi. My name is Lisa Matus, Riverside Sheriff's Accountability Coalition. My son, Richard Matus Jr., he tragically died in Riverside County Jail in a system that covers up their actions as we see happening here in San Diego County. I'm speaking today about the horrible evidence destruction under Kelly Martinez's watch, because what happened to Hayden is beyond negligence. It's destruction of justice. It was a criminal act as far as I'm concerned, with all Californians in disbelief. A federal judge confirmed that the San Diego County Sheriff's Department purposely deleted 55 hours of surveillance video that should have shown Hayden's conditions in the days before his death in custody. This wasn't an accident and it wasn't a glitch, it was a cover-up. And it happened under Sheriff Martinez. The judge wrote, the prejudice to plaintiff is clear. Whether the footage showed Hayden suffering alone or ignored by staff or no one checking in on him, it mattered and now it's gone. Because of this, the jury will now be told to assume the worst, that the missing video would have damaged the county's defense. This is damning legal finding, a moral one, it's a criminal finding. And this is what Sheriff Martinez's department has done, not just to Hayden, many others who have died in San Diego County jails. What happened to truth? To accountability? This is nothing more than criminals acting under the color of law. Sheriff Martinez, you cannot claim reform while your department deletes the truth. No better than Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, who lies and covers up deaths when facts are staring him straight in the face. If this doesn't demand an immediate DOJ investigation and oversight, nothing will. It is obvious that statewide oversight is a critical need at this time. And you all on this CLERB board should be seeking a formal order or judgment from a court that would compel the DOJ to investigate an investigation. If anyone stays silent after this ruling, you are no better than those who hit that delete. To Hayden's family, know that Riverside County is holding you close and praying and demanding justice for Hayden. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Darwin Frischman.
Good evening, Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego. Thank you. And I just want to add what's been said, especially about the impacted families. The part about that this is public information, everyone's seen this. So in the UT article, thank you, Kelly Davis, the title is San Diego County to pay $4 million to a mother of a man who died by suicide in jail. And these are still common occurrences. San Diego County, in this article, it says San Diego County has agreed to pay $4 million to settle a federal lawsuit brought by the mother of Lester Danielle Marquin, who died by suicide in 2021 in the downtown Central Jail. The settlement finalized last week is the largest San Diego County has paid in a lawsuit involving an in-custody suicide. You not only have people that are dying needlessly, we're reading about this on a regular basis, but we're also hearing about lawsuits, multi-million-dollar lawsuits that the county's paying out. Everyone in San Diego should be horrified and upset about this. And you're responsible. CLERB plays a critical role in this by what you do and what you say. You have more people coming to meetings, community members that are voicing their concerns and impacted family members than I had when I was on the old CRB for the city of San Diego. We were motivated to do a whole lot. We did press conferences, we did press releases, we lobbied the city council, and we lobbied the mayor. What are you guys motivated to do by this? You have the community here that's pushing you, and you haven't used all the tools in your toolkit. There's more that you can do with the supervisors. Yes, the sheriff's independent in terms of being voted in, but you have roles that you can play as a body of CLERB, and you can continue to apply more pressure, especially as everyone in San Diego is reading these horrifying stories and hearing about more families that are losing loved ones needlessly and the preventable deaths that are in jail. So please do more. You have the community support. Include us in it. Do more with town halls. Do more with going to the supervisors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Jennifer Schmidt. Jennifer, can you hear me? Jennifer, I'm asking you to unmute yourself. Please accept. All right, we will come back to you. We will call now a caller with the name of iPhone.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, my name is Vanessa Perez. I'm the mother of Joseph Perez, who was severely beaten in 2020. I just want to say I stand with these families that have spoken today. It breaks my heart to hear each one of them. We all share something. All these stories sound so similar, and it's sad. It's really sad. And I stand here to demand the CLERB take action to stop the sheriff's office from destroying critical video evidence that they might shed light on the circumstances of the deaths in the sheriff's custody. And I also want to say, I don't know who the lady is that's running this meeting, but it's very disrespectful that some of these families, especially Matthew's mom's, sharing about her son and you're there shuffling through papers or on your phone. It's very disrespectful. They deserve more respect than what you've given them. My name is Vanessa. And once again, I'm Joseph Perez's mom. Thank you.
Thank you. I will call Jennifer Schmidt again. Jennifer, are you there? Jennifer, I'm asking you to unmute, please. All right, looks like they may have technical difficulties. Okay, next I will call Michael Gomez.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Cool. My name is Michael Gomez. I go by Mickey, former San Diego resident. I'm here to represent the DeArmond family, David DeArmond and Patricia DeArmond, and to represent Christopher DeArmond, who was killed by the San Diego Sheriff's Department. What I think what happened was pretty fucked up. How does a cop use hollow points and not go to jail? That's illegal. So how the hell is he not in jail? That's one of the many fucking things that happened that should have been reviewed big time. That just makes no sense. He was a good ass person. He can have everybody in that room right now laugh in 10 seconds, and the San Diego Sheriff's Department took him away. There needs justice to be done because you guys are not doing shit. I mean, okay, they're cops. Does that mean they're fucking above the law? Does that give them more rights than us? I know if it was me, I would have fucking been dead or doing life because of that. But what, because they have badges and stuff, they can just do stuff like this? It's uncalled for. This is fucking unnecessary as hell. I'm here. Anyways, the pain that and another thing too, whoever's running this board, Norris, whatever, just like what Vanessa said, you're playing with papers and shit like that, and you got people up there saying painful stories and stuff like that. You got Bryce Jones, you got fucking David Tells, you got Paloma Serna, all telling their painful stories, and you're just playing fucking papers like they're cards. We're talk to you and let you know, hey, you guys are there's some problems going on here. We need your focus. We need you, because we're out here pouring our hearts out, saying all these painful stories that we don't want, talk about. And you can at least do the decency by just, give us the respect by looking back at us instead of walking around, talking to the people, fucking shoveling papers and shit like that. Come on, we need your attention. This is some real shit that the San Diego Sheriff's Departments are fucking up. They're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Look at the pain that they cause all these people in the room, all their families. There needs to be something done. And you guys are in position right now to do something about that. I hope you're paying attention to me. I hope you're listening to me, at least, fuck. Thank you. That's all I got to say. Justice for Christopher DeArmond. Love you, Patty.
Okay, I have last Jennifer Schmidt. I will call you and I hope you can talk to us. Jennifer? Jennifer, I'm asking you to unmute. Vice Chair, so Jennifer Schmidt was the last one online. I will start to talk to read the comments to be read for the public, and then if you allow me, I can call her last time after the comments.
If you would, please go ahead and read the written comments, and we'll try one last time after the written comments to see if Ms. Schmidt can answer.
Thank you. For item number 3, we have received 3 public comments, written public comments to be read for the public. The first one is from Nancy Bam. I'm writing as a concerned resident of San Diego County and member of Surge San Diego about the most recent jail death in Vista of Corny Michael Dean. This appears to be yet another death involving medical negligence and disregard of life. We demand transparency in the investigation of accountability on anyone who did interact or fail to interact with Mr. Dean while he was in duress. Second comment by Adrian Hazelman. Yet another death has occurred behind bars in San Diego County. Corny Michael Dean in Vista Detention. I demand that CLERB investigate this death with full transparency and hold accountable those found to be responsible. Third one, sent by Feta Grossman. Myself and fellow community members demand transparency in the investigation of the recent death of Corny Michael Dean in Vista Detention. We need to see accountability from those responsible for yet another death behind bars. Detention should not be a death sentence, and we must see steps taken to prevent deaths in the future. And that's the end of the written comments. Now I will go ahead and make the final attempt to call Ms. Jennifer. Jennifer? Jennifer, I'm asking you to unmute, please. Seems there's technical difficulties with Ms. Jennifer Schmidt.
It appears regrettably we're unable to get Ms. Schmidt to unmute, so we're going to have to proceed. That will, correct me if I'm wrong, conclude public testimony for the initial portion of public comment.
Correct, and that concludes the public comment for item number 3 on the agenda.
Thank you very well. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from the June 5th meeting. Do we have any discussion with respect to the tentative minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Dr. Brown. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you take a poll on the motion to approve the minutes from June 5th?
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Yes.
Secretary Fasano, yes. Dr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Keen Ayub. Yes. Mr. Ware. Let the record show the minutes had passed by a vote of 5 in favor.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda was introduction of any presentation or training. We have none scheduled tonight, so we will go to item 6 of the agenda, the Executive Officer Kalima's reports.
Good evening, everybody. Again, Brett Kalina. I'm the Executive Officer of CLERB. My pronouns are he, him, his. A few overviews of staff. We are starting interviews for another special investigator position this month. And we have received 146 applications for the job. So we're hoping that we'll have a lot of people to review and look into. I'm going to give a brief review of what's coming ahead for the D4 request for medical jurisdiction. As you all know, we're bringing up the rules and regulations, which is meant to amend the rules and regulations again based upon our meet and confer. And so those are the regulations that are put in front of you today. If the board so moves today to move forward with that, we will work with FG3 and the CAO's office to prepare a letter that will go to the Board of Supervisors based upon based upon the last request of the actual minute order from the board, the request is, let me pull up the exact language. Apologize, I had that tabbed. It was for the CAO to work jointly with all parties that may be affected with the new jurisdiction. So they've requested that CLERB through FG3, the Sheriff's Department, and probation all present what resources they would need if this jurisdiction were to move forward. That is the letter that will go to the board on September 9th now. And then what would happen is it has to go by the September 9th meeting, as we only have 30 days once we approve our rules and regulations to go back to the board. They can do a first reading on the 9th, and if they so choose, they can wait 2 weeks to review, and then they would come back on the 23rd for either a decision to vote or recommendations moving forward. And so just to give you an outline of what will be coming forward, so we will all be meeting again before the vote, or at least before it's presented to the Board of Supervisors. But I wanted to let you know that that letter that would be prepared by FG3 in conjunction with the CAO's office would then be already prepared. So we should be able to present this to the board by that point in time. On a different front, our case management system was selected. We are very excited. We've got a vendor picked. Once we've gotten that process started, hopefully it'll move pretty quickly. The vendor hopes to have us up and running within 4 months of the implementation of the process, so that we would have a brand new case management system, and hope that'll give us a lot more ability to have a live feed on our website with updated case information that we don't have to prepare on a monthly basis. Civil service we had held civil service hearings in end of May, June, and mid-June. We will be getting out those decisions to the board, and we will have, hopefully have a chance to have that discussion at the next board meeting. As we just got that, that'll be a closed session matter to discuss the results, but the results of civil service will become open to the public once those are posted on the civil service information. So everyone will have access to those, and we will attach those next month to or at least to next month's meeting. All right, juvenile probation cases. So to give everybody a recap, last November, probation provided CLERB with 28 different incidents involving use of force and great bodily injury. Pursuant to the Welfare and Institutions Code, Section 827, CLERB filed confidential petitions to have these files reviewed by the juvenile court and then provided to CLERB. Of the 28 that were given to us by probation, 6 of those cases had already been sealed. So there was no avenue to get those records. We will be presenting the board with summary dismissals on those investigations because the juvenile court would not reopen any sealed cases. So you will see those in the upcoming months. So between the 22 that were left and then 3 additional probation cases that came into us, the court reviewed 25 incidents of use of force with injury. The judge on August 1st rendered a decision, and they reviewed all 25 cases and everything involved with those 25 cases. And the judge determined that 14 of the 25 were cases within CLERB's jurisdiction, or at least for us to determine if we have jurisdiction. The remaining 11 cases were denied, and in the decision, it was determined that the injuries were caused by another juvenile and not through the use of force from the probation officers. So For those 14 cases, we anticipate receiving records by the end of the month on all 14 cases, which we will then proceed to get those cases investigated. We were limited in what we get. The juvenile court decides exactly what we get in each investigation, and they were different depending upon the case. So we will be reviewing that. There won't be as much information as a regular case, so hopefully we'll get those to you quickly. But it's important to note that the juvenile court is requiring CLERB to provide what the recommended finding and the public finding will be before we can actually put that recommended finding out. So we will have to go back to the juvenile court first before we can present it to the CLERB board. And if the board then makes any modification to the findings, the recommended findings, then we would have to go back again to the juvenile court to get those approved to be public. So just for your all understanding. So, and then we were told that the 2024 cases, which again, those first 28 were 21, 22, 23. The 24 cases should be coming to us sometime this month. We will start the whole process over with the petitions that we will send to the juvenile court. Case updates, 21 new cases, 23 closed cases. We had one that was PC'd this last month. And so we are sitting at about 133 open investigations. That's pretty consistent with where we've been all year. And then we will have 13 cases today that will be reviewed in closed session. That's it.
Could you, you mentioned the civil service report, the civil service investigation. Make sure everybody in the room understands what that is. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah, so when the CLERB board sustains findings against any county employee, and in our case, it's the deputies because that's all we have jurisdiction for. But civil service as a whole can review any decision that's employee related within the county. So if it's a termination, in our case, if we sustain findings against any of the deputies, we serve them, they can appeal that decision and it goes to civil service. Civil service does basically a little mini trial in which CLERB is represented and the deputies who are appealing the CLERB board's decision are also represented by counsel. It's presented to one of the civil service commissioners. And at that point in time, the civil service commissioner can make a decision to either uphold what CLERB did or make a different finding based upon their mission of reviewing the evidence. Yep.
And just briefly, legally, it's Civil Service Rule 15, and it's a part of negotiations between the Deputy Sheriff's Association, also the Deputy Probation Officers Association, because under applicable police personnel law, the Peace Officers Bill of Rights, a sustained finding by CLERB against a deputy sheriff or a probation officer is considered a punitive action. And the term punitive action is a legal term of art because the idea is that a sustained finding could have a potentially adverse impact on a deputy or probation officer's career path, getting raises, promotions, et cetera. And so this appeal process was formed to allow the deputy sheriffs to challenge those before the Civil Service Commission. Those hearings are held via closed session by the Civil Service Commission, and normally one commissioner is appointed to hear the appeal. And then there is a truncated or facts for public consumption that are released by the Civil Service Commission, similar to the way the public summaries are provided by CLERB, and there is confidential information that is not legally able to be provided. So it's similar that way, but we do go through that for every sustained finding that this board makes.
Thank you, counsel. Ms. Fasano, I think you have a question.
Yes, I have a question to clarify the role of the Civil Service Commission with regard to CLERB decisions on cases. I understood that the Civil Service Commission has the authority to make decisions about disciplinary action against sheriffs.
That is correct, Secretary Fasano, but the agreement between the Deputy Sheriff's Association with the creation of CLERB and CLERB making sustained findings is that a sustained finding made by CLERB is considered disciplinary for purposes of the Peace Officers Bill of Rights, and it does give rise to a right of appeal. And so it is a form that was made up to allow due process for the Sheriff's Department and probation employees in conformance with applicable state law.
Okay, but I'm looking for clear confirmation that the Civil Service Commission has the authority to take action against deputy sheriffs who CLERB determines have engaged in misconduct.
They would not, because CLERB's sole function is to make a sustained finding. CLERB does not then go one step further and recommend discipline against a sheriff's deputy or probation officer. This is contrary. The difference would be is, let's say in the sheriff's department, a deputy is investigated by internal affairs. And the internal affairs investigation makes sustained findings of, let's say, use of force or false arrest. The deputy would then be able to appeal that finding and discipline to the Civil Service Commission. And the Civil Service Commission, under those circumstances, could affirm the level of discipline, let's say a 5-day suspension, modify it, or overturn it completely. But CLERB does not hand out discipline. CLERB is limited to making sustained or not sustained or unfounded findings. And of course, the only findings that will be appealed to the Civil Service Commission for CLERB matters is a sustained finding of misconduct.
Okay, but I still don't feel like I'm getting an answer to my direct question, which is who disciplines the deputy sheriffs in a case where misconduct is found by CLERB?
It's up to the Sheriff's Department to determine whether or not to discipline the sheriff's deputies.
Well,
I've been misinformed
not
on this
necessarily in every single circumstance. If it's misconduct, if it is use of force, excessive force, discharge of firearms, in custody death, those types of things, and we sustain findings against the deputy, and they appeal to the civil service, okay, and they have 10 days to appeal. If they don't, it is under the obligation of the Sheriff's Department to report that finding to post.
Well, there are new requirements under the penal code that started in 2021 as part of SB 2 that does require findings of sustained allegations of misconduct under certain circumstances to be reported to post. And that can result in a suspension of certification of your police powers, or in some cases, complete decertification. And that does apply to oversight agencies like CLERB. But deputies, like all police officers in all jurisdictions, do have the right to appeal. And so if a sustained finding or a discipline is overturned, then that would not go to post.
Ms. Keenan, you have a question?
I do. I want to go back to the probation requirements that they put on us, stating that you give them what the investigators found before we see the cases. Is that correct?
No, they want to make sure, because their sole purpose under 827 is to protect the juvenile's information. So what they want to make sure that in our recommended finding that goes public, it's just the juvenile court, not probation. The juvenile court reviews the wording to make sure that there's nothing that could implicate a certain child easily, to know who that is.
Just to clarify, they will get the findings from the investigators before we will see them.
They will see the recommended findings to do that. It's either before you make the finding or after you make the finding.
Well, we're supposed to see the findings, debate the findings from the investigators, and then decide if that's correct or if it's not correct. And we have changed the investigator's opinion many times.
Yes.
So I don't see why the parole or the youth department should get it before we do.
It's not the probation department. It is.
Okay, it doesn't matter that I said probation versus youth. I'm asking a question and I'm asking if they are getting it before us. We are the,
Probation department is not getting it before the board. The juvenile judge who's in charge of these cases and has already reviewed the information that we're getting. The judge has already seen this. He's read the reports, he's watched the video. That's why we have jurisdiction. They just required it as part of the giving CLERB the records that any public information had to be approved by the juvenile court before it goes out. So CLERB can decide, the board can decide if you would like to review the cases first and then send it to juvenile court, but we will be hearing these cases in a closed session. We won't be able to document that, and then later we can present those findings once the juvenile court has done
I
it.
think that's the way it should do it. We should be able to see it prior before we send it over to a judge, because that is our job. That is what we are put here for.
That is what will happen, Member Keen-Ayub. The point is that the juvenile court judge wants to make sure that anything that is published for the public to see has been reviewed by the juvenile court judge to ensure the confidentiality of the juvenile, because that is paramount. And so we have to comply with the juvenile court's orders in that regard.
I completely understand that,
It will
but
not change your ability to thoroughly and completely deliberate and make changes that you see fit to any recommended findings that are made by the special investigators.
I appreciate that. It was presented as it has to go there first and then back to us. I just wanted to clarify that we see it first through the investigator, see what the investigator came up with before it moves on.
You will see that, but the recommended findings will then, the recommended findings by the special investigators cannot be published prior to it going back to the juvenile court. So what will happen is these cases will be heard in closed session. There will be no public summary of recommendations until after you all deliberate the matters in closed session. And then when the matters are publicly reported, the public summary that has been approved by the juvenile court will be made public on the website pursuant to the regular practice of CLERB.
All right, let's move on. The next item on the agenda is the board chair's reports. I only have 2 items. I think you've seen that we talk about recommended findings, and in the case of in-custody death investigations, there's a list of findings that we've been using in the past, things as sustained, action justified, and all that. It defies common sense to think that in an in-custody death, we're going to use an action justified finding. So our chair, Marianne Pintar, has given, she couldn't be here tonight, but she's given me some comments to read to you all along those lines. This month, we were reviewing one death in custody. Some of you may have noticed new language in the recommended findings portion of the report summary. In the past, for cases in which CLERB investigators did not find a department policy had been violated, i.e. there's no sustained, regardless of the manner of death, the recommended findings read action justified. I think it's common sense that that's not something that we want. So what we've done is that language was supposed to indicate that the CLERB investigators had reviewed the facts of the incident, were not recommending the CLERB board sustain that a law enforcement officer had violated a sheriff or probation department policy in connection with that particular case. Rather, that law enforcement officers had acted in accordance with the sheriff's office policies and procedures. And that's what is the extent of our CLERB oversight and investigative powers. Members of the public, family members of the deceased, and the CLERB board members have agreed that this language did not reflect the difficult circumstances of these circumstances and asked CLERB staff to find another way to express their findings with more neutral and not causing what would obviously be anguish to loved ones or pain. To that end, rather than a recommended finding of action justified, The recommended board finding will now read, and you can see it, it's in the list of cases tonight, the second case, pending, approved/deferred, to indicate that the CLERB board has approved the report or has been deferred because we are seeking additional information. So we're going to say, when we go into closed session and we see that recommendation that there was no violations of policies or procedures, we're going to say that we concur with the staff recommendation. That doesn't mean there never would be sustained findings. I want to make that clear. If there was a violation of policies or procedures by somebody in the sheriff's department that was a cause factor of that in custody death, obviously we would sustain it, but we're trying to change the language just to make it a lot more palatable for all of us when we see these cases. The other item I have is I just wanted to let everybody know that Sheriff Martinez has agreed to come and speak to us at our November meeting. So that will happen in November. I have no further board chair report. As far as new business, we have one item of new business, and that's going to be subject to public comment, and that's going to be the approval of the annual report. So do we have any public comment requested for the approval of the annual report?
We don't have any.
We're not going to say action justified in custody deaths.
What's going to take its place? Just going to remove it.
There's going to be, you can look at the recommendation, second case in the packet tonight, and you'll see that it says pending board approval. And then down there, the investigator will have concluded that there was no violation of policy or procedure. And when we go into closed session and the board votes whether to agree with that or not, we would say that if we did agree that there was no violation of policy or procedure, we'd just say that we agree with the conclusion of the board investigator. All right, so I'm now gonna, we had no comment, I believe, on the annual report. Is that correct?
Correct.
Board members, I'm opening the annual report open to discussion.
No, I think we've, the board has had a chance now for almost 2 months to review that annual report. We put it out on the website. I'm really proud of the staff for putting together records that go back as far as 2022 because of staff shortages, we haven't been able to produce an annual report that goes to the Board of Supervisors. And so we really wanted to get this out in anticipation of them reviewing the medical jurisdiction issue so that they got that out, that we are working on trying to fulfill all of our goals and duties as staff.
Any further discussion from members of the board? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of the annual report.
So moved.
Thank you. Dr. Brown has moved that the annual report be approved as written. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Ware. Madam Secretary, would you take a vote? Yes.
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 Thank you. We now move to unfinished business, and when we get to unfinished business, just for everybody's edification, this is not subject to public comment. These are items that we've carried over. I think there might be some consternation for one of these, but it'll get cleared up for you pretty quick here. But for the first one, which is the executive officer's already talked to us about, and that's the revised CLERB rules and regulations. I'm opening up that for any discussion by board members. There's no discussion. Do we have a motion? Okay, Dr. Brown has moved to approve the CLERB rules and regulations. as have been modified and written. And do we have a second? If we don't have a second, I would ask for discussion on why we don't, but I think maybe we're getting a second.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ware. Seconded. Madam Secretary, would you take a vote?
Vice Chairman?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is the withdrawal. The clerk wrote a letter of support for AB 847, and you now see that CLERB is having to withdraw it. There's a reason for that, and the executive officer, before we open it to discussion, the board will explain why we had to do that. And I would just point out that didn't prohibit some of us individually to write our own letters, but Mr. Kalima, would you go ahead and explain?
So, unbeknownst to me, and I will take responsibility for this, I was notified by the public affairs group within the county that pursuant to board policy A74, county committees are created to advise the Board of Supervisors, not the legislature or Congress, with the exception of those committees which have been specifically mandated to advise other legislators under the government codes or laws establishing them. So there's a process by which if we wanted the Board of Supervisors to take up this as their own approval or support of state or federal legislation in any way, there has to be an entire process that they would take into consideration every section within the county, which would include public safety. And so in the interest of that process, which I have been told will most likely not go through, and it would take a significant amount of time, we would need to then withdraw the support we had last time so that we're not in violation of any county code, and then take it up upon the board to individually issue those letters of supports as members of the community.
So to clarify procedurally, we voted to do that, but we don't have the authority. And because of that, this is a procedural matter. You just heard that individual members of the board are at liberty, and I can represent that some of us have written letters to people in Sacramento providing our personal support, but we're not allowed to do it as a board. So do we have any discussion amongst board members about the fact that we have to withdraw this? Yes, Ms. Keenayuk.
So my understanding when we supported Weber Bill 797 is that we are allowed to make recommendations on state legislation. We would just have to submit it to the person in charge, which is you. And then that recommendation you would write that up and go to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. Last time what it was is it went through the legal department and it did pass, and they did state that CLERB can make recommendations on state assembly bill and Senate bills because we do work as a CLERB board, a Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board. So my ask is, did you submit it to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs?
They were the ones that contacted me and stated that our board does not have the authority to give that support as a body.
But you said it was a different department when you stated it.
That it's Matthew Parr is the leader of that, and he's through the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs. Okay. They are the office that collect the information from the various boards, present that to the entire county first, and then it gets submitted to the Board of Supervisors for a decision as to whether or not they want to support the state law. And so that would be the process that we would go. That is the person I talked to, and he said, we do not have that authority as a board, and I did not know we didn't have that authority.
Okay, so the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs, which is not what you said originally, is the one that contacted you and told you that you could not write this up and submit it to the Board of Supervisors?
No, we could do that. We could present this to the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs. That is the office by which we would do policy A74. So we could submit that to them. I was told that at that point in time that it would most likely fail and would never make it to the Board of Supervisors.
But should it not be worth trying?
If the board isn't going to take it up and we sit here and cannot issue some support in any way, I would have rather at least get some support from us as individual members rather than no support at all. Our goal is for that. We want that to pass. And I'm certainly not going to have us go in front of a Board of Supervisors when it's not going to fail and it's not going to look good for CLERB. I want 847 to go forward on behalf of CLERB and the community, but that doesn't mean we can offer support as a board.
So correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is that the Board of Supervisors can have a hearing to determine if they want to support 847, and you use the word public safety would have an input. Basically, what that means is it's going to be a hearing in front of the Board of Supervisors. Correct me if I'm wrong, with the Sheriff's Department, Probation Department arguing their side, us arguing our side, while we're also working hard to establish the credibility to get them to take our changes to or how we want to proceed with increased custody of or increased jurisdiction in custody deaths. And there could be, that's still subject to meet and confer. We're trying to make sure that we can succeed at that. We could take up and go in there and try to get the Board of Supervisors to have a hearing to listen to the sheriffs and listen to us. But I question board members whether that's something you want to do.
Also, just for the members of the community and for the board members, if you recall 8B 847, the essence of the legislation is that it would open up and provide police officer personnel records without having to go through any court filings or hearings and provide them to oversight in other agencies. That would be a very, very difficult thing for the Sheriff's Department to support. And the Board of Supervisors would probably not support it that way either. So that is another reason because of the type of legislation. And I know that there has been previous legislation. I think the correct legislation was SB 519, you may all remember. And that was from Ms. Weber that proposed that. And the reason that CLERB did not get called out for, as a group, approving that is because the board did not vote to approve and move forward with it. So it never got on the county's radar, and we did not get reprimanded and told that we were violating county policy.
Do we know what the timeline is in Sacramento for action on this bill?
It appears that it's on the docket for this fall when they go back in session, but I do not have a definitive date yet from their office.
Yes.
So my understanding is it did go before legal in the county. And it was debated. And because we are a voter-created board, it did not apply like Board of Supervisors created boards. So I do believe that it went to the Board of Supervisors. My understanding is we can still write letters individually as board members, but we can also, as a board, submit a letter, and it should be submitted. And we say that we at least tried, just like we tried last time.
Well, last time was 519, and although a few of the board did not pass it at that point in time, so there was no collective decision by the board to support 519, so that's why it didn't move forward. My understanding is that a member of CLERB staff at that time testified at the state, and I was told that they were prohibited from mentioning any affiliation with CLERB because CLERB could not do that type of support at that state level.
Okay, but we can submit a letter to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs, which is what's located on the county site. That's the way it's labeled. And have them debate it and move it on to the Board of Supervisors, correct?
Sure. Of course.
If you would like to make a motion in that regard, go
Well,
ahead.
My understanding is,
This is a board matter. Go ahead.
my understanding is that we already voted as a board to support this.
No, Ms. Kenayub, you all voted on the form of a letter to send, but this would be a different action because this is a different process. So the motion would have to be phrased in the terms of asking to move forward with the requirements under County Board of Supervisor Policy A74 and direct that the executive officer move forward with sending the requisite materials and making the meetings with the economic development and governmental affairs person.
Am I
That would be
hearing
the motion.
two different places? Did you say economic development, government, or somewhere else?
Right here on the county website, it's listed as the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs.
That is correct, but that is not who Executive Officer Kalina has been communicating with. If you would like your motion to say to send it to the Intergovernmental Affairs, then you can make that motion.
I will make the motion as stated on the county website to submit to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs a letter on behalf of CLERB supporting this policy.
One question for you. Are you, as far as you've seen the letter that we had previously gotten the feedback on, are you okay with the way that letter's worded?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to take that letter that we previously approved and submit it to the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. Do we have a second?
Vice Chair,
We've approved the letter already.
Vice Chair. Can I have a comment? So, the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs, that's the old name. The new name is IDGA right now. So it's two names is for the same entity. It's just a name change, just for the record.
Was that the name that we were reading there?
Yes, correct. So Matthew Parr is the head of that department, which is, so IDGA is the new name. The old name is the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. That would make maybe the
What's
confusion.
the correct full name of what it is now?
Which is exactly, yes. Go ahead, Brett.
Economic Development and Government Affairs.
Which is IDGA. That's the acronym.
I love all these acronyms.
It's the same.
So,
Exactly.
so Ms. Kenayub, is it okay if we take that motion and say that we're going to submit the letter that we previously approved to EDCO, Economic Development and Government Affairs at the county?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second? Would you take a vote, please? Yes.
Sano, yes. Dr. Brown?
Yes.
Nayib?
Yes.
Yes.
All righty, that concludes our unfinished business. The next thing is, do any board members have any comments that they wish to make? Hearing none? Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. And you did a good job, even though your sign fell. Just wanted to thank you because I knew it was probably last minute. I do want to encourage everybody to go to the County Board of Supervisors. Please voice everything that you've done here. Ask for transparency. Ask for everything that you've done here. We are the CLERB board. As you can see, our hands are tied. But you can make change by going to the Board of Supervisors. We have a new District 1 Board of Supervisor who's incredible. Please go out, make appointments with their offices. They will speak to you. They will talk to you.
Any other board member comments? At this point in time, we're going to have representatives from Sheriff and Probation. From Probation is Miss Anna Diaz here. if you'd proceed to the podium, do you have anything to report before I inquire if we have questions of you?
I do not have anything to report, no.
Board members, do you have any inquiries?
Hi, I want to thank you for the response that was sent. That was more in line with what I was asking about. I'm hoping that at some point in time later on, I'm only asking upon myself, but at some point in time, you can present that information on neurodivergent youth and how that is handled to the rest of the board.
Okay.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Any other comment? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is Lieutenant JJ here from the Sheriff's Department? I was told it was okay for me to say that.
Absolutely, sir.
Do you have any initial remarks you want to make?
Just following up, the sheriff is going to attend in November, and she said whatever you folks would like her to talk about, she'll talk about.
Any board members have any questions for the lieutenant? Yes.
I have a question. When we deliberated on a case where the investigators determined that intercoms were turned off in one of our facilities, I believe it was the central jail, that the deputies had the authority to turn off intercoms. When I attended a tour of George Bailey, I was told that they cannot turn off the intercoms. Can you clarify what the Sheriff's Department policy is on that matter? The concern is that if intercoms are turned off, then the incarcerated persons don't have any way to communicate with the sheriff deputies.
Yes, so I'm not sure specifically about the case, but you had asked me this, I think, at the last meeting in regards to the intercoms. No, they can't turn the intercoms off.
Excuse me?
No, they cannot.
Okay. But one of the findings in the case was that they turned them off.
Secretary Fasano, we should not be talking about cases that have been deliberated on in closed session.
Okay, I'll raise it in closed session.
So just to be clear, though, the record is that they do not physically have the ability to turn the intercom off?
Correct.
Is there a volume control?
There is.
Any other questions of the lieutenant? Can you use your mic, please, doctor?
I'm sorry. Can you then inquire as to whether they can turn the volume control down substantially to the extent that they cannot communicate the incarcerated or the people who made mistakes can at least call for help? Can you check to see what authority they have when it comes to operating the intercom systems? And I mean, completely, can they turn them down? To what degree they can turn them down? You say they cannot turn them off, but how do they get, you understand what I'm saying?
I believe so.
You clarify. I just want to make sure that they cannot be turned down to the extent that someone asking for help will not be heard. That's what I want to make sure in the jails.
Yeah, just to confirm. So you're asking me to look into how far it can be turned down or what?
Can it be muted to where the extent any cry for assistance from the inmate would be inaudible to the
inaudible,
deputies?
yeah. I want to make sure that people can get help if they need help in the jail, which I think the answer is going to be that they cannot do that, but I just want to make sure.
Why do they do it?
So you're asking for how low it goes? Is that?
I want to make sure that it's audible, that can they in any way turn them where they're inaudible for people not to be able to hear when they call for assistance.
Okay.
Okay, if that's done, all right.
Yeah, if you could just report back to us on that next month, Lieutenant, we'd appreciate that. Any other questions? I've got one for you. We heard, and I read the grand jury report where they talked about, I think it's called CQI. I'm not even sure what that acronym stands for, but obviously it's some means of quality insurance.
Quality insurance, yeah.
Could you perhaps next month give us a little insight into what, if any, CQI programs the Sheriff's Department has?
Yes, I honestly don't know, so I'm going to have to ask for that information.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
I'd just like to comment, I think it's done by the auditors that audit come in to jail people, but still ask.
I'll still
Thank
ask.
you.
All right. Any old by the ways? Okay, we are going to now, we've finished open session. We're going to move into closed session. We are going to take a break for 10 minutes. We'll be back. Well, we get read out first and then we'll take our break.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Mendelson. On tonight's closed session agenda, we have 13 cases for summary hearing as described in the agenda, all pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, and that concludes my read into closed session. Thank you.
Hey, Sheriff, I just want to say thank you for checking on that for us.